What a treat we have. We have Gerry Taylor with us today, who is on the team at Orangebox. He is kind of a crazy Scot, and he talks really fast. He brought his own microphone, and I've spent a lot of time in England, but sometimes he goes so fast I can't catch every word. So, but you can always hear him, and it's always provocative. So with that, I'm going to bring up Gerry Taylor.
Thank you very much. So can everyone hear me? Because if you can't hear me, you won't understand me. And chances are you won't understand me anyway. I came across this quite recently and I thought, oh wow, what a fabulous slide to start with, talking about the workplace. This is it. This is all we've got. This is it, you know. In life, we all want to find substance and meaning and energy and power. That's how we get it. Huh? That's all we've got. We've got love, we've got work, and we've got religion. That's how important the workplace is, because it's one of the few things we have. Huh? I'm lucky I've got two. Huh? If you've got one, you're doing okay. If you haven't got any, work to get one of them. And if you've got three of them, then you have a smile on your face. You are a happy person. I like this as well. You know, this is a brief history of time. Okay, I've left off chunks of important things, but I want to make a point. Huh? Because we're living through a period of immense change and very rapid change, which is commensurate to what happened when we invented bronze, which is what happened when we invented gunpowder, and what's happening now when we've invented digital technology. You know, and fortunately, we're a little bit more in control of the violence, you know, because historically, when we got bronze, then, you know, we put channels down the swords to let the blood drain away quicker. But it allowed us to slaughter more of each other more rapidly. Gunpowder, what an amazing invention gunpowder was, you know. And think about how crazy are we? We built these amazing ships, right? And then what did we do? We sailed one adjacent to the other and blew the shit out of it until one fell into the sea. It's what we do. And even now, you know, this is amazing, isn't it? You know, the idea of a drone flying that high into the sky, that far away, and controlling that. We always use technology to do amazing things militarily. Because we have to, actually, you know. Because if you look at our history, we're not good at always being nice to each other. If I were good at my job, you would all have a copy of this is our new report. And because I'm not good at my job, you haven't got a copy, because I'm still editing it and writing it. And the reason it was important to try to get it to you, because I'm not going through all of the data because I can't, because if it bores me, it will certainly bore you guys. But the data is all there, because what I like to do when I talk is go a little bit off-piste. But anyway, you know, we're in a new normal now, and everything you will hear today articulates how we're moving through this new normality. And this new normal is actually quite painful. Almost everyone, it's widely acknowledged, everyone gets, all workplaces, all corporate offices are moving from an old paradigm to a new paradigm. We're increasingly using mobile technology because you have a millennial generation coming into the workplace. And, you know, the old idea, you want me to work with that shit? You know, and that has caused dramatic ramifications. But what is also really, really important now that we're finding is, and this has been talked about already extensively this morning, to create happy customers, you need to create happy employees. And I love this piece of insight. It's easier for new organizations to take this approach from the beginning. It's more difficult to turn around organizations who have got quite different default settings. And that's a challenge for anyone within an old industry, is to how do we adopt these new processes, this new way of working, because the default settings are all stacked up against you. And this idea about being happy at work is absolutely critical. It's really, really fundamental. And all companies globally pay attention to it in a way that never before. And also this, we are the prisoners of our technology. Technology was supposed to make our lives easier. You guys are inventing all of this stuff. And you're frying us. You're not making it any easier. We're all on call all the bloody time. Huh? So the corporate environment is going to have to give back because technology is all about take. More. Deal with it. So this idea of saying, okay, look, I'll take that, but you know what? I want a better work-life balance. Let me tell you, and women as well. There's a big demand. Women will work as hard as men, but they aren't going to work in the same way. They want flexibility because John has to go and see the doctor at 10 o'clock. So we have to embrace the idea that, you know what, women might have to work a little bit differently to men. You know, and the statistics about the pressure, it's bad, you know. In the UK, 75% of people, when interviewed, are suffering some kind of stress, absolutely related to what they have to do through their workday. And I love this. This is cool, isn't it? You know, maybe why we need flexible personal technology. There's more viruses on your keyboard than there is in a toilet seat. How do we do that? And then, you know, it's hardly surprising that Craig Ventnor is jumping up and down and going mad. I didn't know that. Did you guys know that? You know, we're screwing about with, we always screw about with things, you know, and this idea that, you know, the generations, the boomers, the millennials, which I'll come back to, and also this, you know, nearly 30% of kids, and we've all experienced this, have an iPad. And we don't know the consequences of that. And there's a lot of real concern about, you know, about being alone. Being able to be alone is a gift, to enjoy your own company. And we're rearing a generation that we're kind of missing that little thing out. And you all know very well that's a big thing to get into life, and yet technology is all the way, yeah, let's all go together. Actually, I like my own company. And, you know, I talked about this before. This is a wonderful observation from the great Malcolm Gladwell. We are experiencing a paradigm shift from a hierarchical society to a network society, and from the individual to the connected and the collaborative. And as always, Malcolm Gladwell, that's so beautifully nailed. We have to get used to this, you know. And it's difficult to do. Paradigm shifts are painful and disruptive because they challenge our default settings, our beliefs, and our worldview that legitimizes them. It's not going to be easy. You know, we're in a ride, and it's not an easy ride because of this. And this is a perfect example. Last week in Hong Kong, you know, and if you all looked at the news broadcast, wasn't it all millennials that were out there? Why? Because they know about the world. And what was lovely about Hong Kong is because they thought the Chinese authorities were going to take the mobile network down, they all used this app. How clever is that, you know? And if you don't understand the paradigm shift, get used to it. We're all smart cookies, aren't we? We're all quite bright. Well, we hope we are, don't we? I mean, Jesus, we studied. Remember all those days at school and college and university? We worked a long time. We're really smart. Well, you know what? We're not. You know, take the case of, you know, we invented X-ray machines, and we took the kids in to X-ray their feet to give them good size fitting shoes, even after we knew. I'm not sure about this. You know, this advert from the 60s, you know, smoking makes you an athlete. Smoke! It's not that long ago we did this, and we convinced ourselves that it was okay. Oh, look, physicians say it's all. We've toasted the tobacco. The irritation in your throat disappears. It's not a problem. Or this one. This is a good one, isn't it? This isn't that long ago. This was legitimate advertising. This one, you know. I said, you guys, we call the day after Christmas Boxing Day. What was the Boxing Day like? Look, it always takes us a long time to try to work out, especially when things are traveling so fast. We don't know what's smart and what's stupid. Because it takes a little while for that to distill down and for us to start to work out. And, you know, I love that this is a wonderful, we're becoming ever more dependent on fragile, complex systems. You know, think the financial crisis, you know. How goofy was that? But this is important. As long as we insist on living in the fast lane, we should learn to get on and off without creating mayhem. And we're not doing that. And you guys are certainly not doing that. I mean, this is scary, you know. You guys, fabulous, you're inventing all of this stuff, but do you know where you're sitting? Let's hope it never happens. Huh? But if it does, we're fucked. Because if we think you can have the stuff elsewhere, it ain't going to happen. It's going to, and look at this, because of the screw up of financial crisis, $100 billion, that's what the banks have paid so far in fines, which is 40 million every day since March 2008, sorry. That's how goofy we were. And this scenario, just take one industry, the taking and the sharing of pictures. And Kodak used to be a great company employing 100,000 people with steady salaries. It's all evaporated. And Instagram, which made $1 billion for 12 people, and we all pile in the content for free. Where are all those 100,000 happy middle-class families? And take this, I love this. This is from Ford. Driverless cars, trillions are up for grabs. The idea of self-driving cars, which is again coming out of this great part of the world. It's in, okay, fine, this will be fab, but I love this observation because not that far into the future, we will look at a truck and think, how ridiculous was it to ever allow someone to drive one of those things? Because technology will make it. So what we're going to say to all the truck drivers, good night and good luck? What are they going to do? So the moral of this story is this is all fabulous, but sometimes it's actually quite good to think a little bit and take stock as to why. And I love this one. This is brilliant, isn't it? We've all suffered the rat. This is no different to those cigarette adverts I showed you a few seconds ago. I bought some light bulbs. I mean, how boring is it to buy some bloody light bulbs? We all have to do it. Then 4 days later, having a coffee, I want to check on George's marriage in Venice. And all these bloody things come up. And the funny thing with it, because it's light bulbs, they're flashing at you. I bought the fucking light bulbs. I want to read about George. Leave me alone. But we don't. And all of these great companies think this is cool. It's not. It's stupid. It's daft. Why do we do it? Why do we allow ourselves to do it? And this is a wonderful case. You can read about this online about Janet, who's a sociologist at Princeton, and she made the decision she wasn't going to suffer those light bulb moments, so she went offline, and she made the mistake of using Tor, and then her husband made the mistake of using vouchers to buy on Amazon, and what happens is, she got into trouble with the police because she wasn't dealing in the new normal. She was trying to circumvent the new normal, and that's how quickly that has become the new normal. This goes back, the earlier report that we published was Boomers and Millennials, and the idea that Millennials are the foot soldiers for the consumerization of technology in the workplace. And me, the Boomers, we were the helicopter parents who sat over, remember that story? You've got to get John and get him to the football for 5 o'clock, and you promised me you would do it on Wednesday and Thursday. This is a generation for whom mum and dad have hovered above them their whole lives. So they have very, very different ways of working, ways of behaving, and ways. So if we have a workplace where you have Boomers and Millennials working together, it's not going to be that easy to just assume automatically that what a 50-year-old wants acoustically, ergonomically, emotionally, it's not commensurate with a 25-year-old. And yet, but as we increasingly stay within the workplace, it's very important to organizations that they do that. This is a wonderful observation from Will Self, the brilliant English writer. For millennials, the web and the internet have created a permanent now. I love that. Such a beautiful observation. Boomers squat on top of the pyramid of endeavor and crush the rung with their own nostalgic tastes. And I love this because this is the coolest app from 1958. And the coolest app, what were they doing? Learning about codes and invisible, manufacturing your own chlorine gas. These guys were allowed to try stuff. And then they had the amazing 60s, the Cream, the Doors, everyone. And then what happens now is this. How did this happen? It wasn't supposed to happen. Leave the stage. You had your day in the sun. Fuck off. No. because we want it. It's too good. We're not clearing out. So you have a generation who are still living with mum and dad into their 30s because they're all in debt. I got a free education for 7 years. How amazing is that? And yet kids are still having to live with mum and dad into their 30s because we've kind of stolen more than we should have done. And most millennials aren't addicted to social media. They're addicted to each other. And the reason social media is so important is we stop them gathering in public places. We suffered the paranoia of it not being secure, so we do that to them. And look, I've shown that Daniel's, the Swedish entrepreneur, he said this in an interview in the Financial Times last summer, which I loved. He says, I still see myself as a young person and someone that's in tune with what's going on. And I look at Daniel and I think, Daniel, the skin's still growing on your face. But he's saying he doesn't know the default settings of his 20-year-old kid brother. So if a cool entrepreneur doesn't understand the dynamics of his 10-year-old kid brother, think how difficult it is for a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old to get the dynamics of that. Okay, so I'm running out of time. I need to move. This is why our default settings are. Is that in the 1880s, 4 key inventions shaped the office we still identify with today. The telephone, the typewriter, the electric light bulb, and the elevator all came on stream. And for 125 years, we were connecting pieces of furniture together, not people. So that's our default setting. In the new workplace, we're connecting people, not furniture. Not much. We used to connect furniture. Now we connect people. That's it. Deal with it. If only. And forget. Yeah, and all the, Primo showed all the early adopters of the new work typologies were the tech companies. And they were really good at trying to work out how those workplaces could work. And the reason being is maybe, they knew more than anyone else the implications of what they were doing with the technology. And also competition is at its fiercest for the kids to join those companies. So those companies work really hard about getting people to work together. And actually, in the new report, we have an interview with Primo, and Primo said something really, really wonderful. It's all about, serendipity, making connections. And Primo said something that I thought was fabulous. He said this: Facebook is about the 10th the size of these mega multinationals. How were they able to get everyone on the same page and aggregate ideas and innovate with such a small pool? And I love this. It's the environment. The environment helped. It's conductive. And if you take anything away from today, to me, that's it. What we have to do is to make conductive environments. And it's not that easy if we can't. The worst thing in the world is a democracy. Because if you have a democracy, then you allow all the differentials to rise to the top. Who's right, who's not. I like brown, you like red, I like green. How do we do that? How do we get all of that to work? And this is the problem for me. I live in the country. I love going hill walking with my dog, but I can see this stuff hovering above me every day I'm out. Maintaining the status quo, the tyranny of groupthink, and the shock of the new. That's that cloud, that keeps us. And we have to find ways of getting through this. Just think, maintaining the status quo. Brilliant example. This man believes that he can maintain his status quo, the same with the Chinese in a digital world. This is a boomer with a boomer's body. And if he had a good wife, the good wife would have said, Vladimir, the body's gone. Put a cool t-shirt on. The tyranny of groupthink. Do you remember? How stupid were we? And you know how much we spent trying to solve a non-existing fucking problem? A lot of money. Because of the tyranny of groupthink. And the shock of the new, the iPad. Okay, it's all easy. We get that, iPads, apps, everything. It's all easy. We get all of that. But the truth is we didn't. When the iPad first came out, there was a little period of, he's lost it, Steve Jobs. This is a piece of shit. Who's going to use this? And just to prove it, there's a wonderful, I need to get my glasses to make sure I read this correctly. It's a nice reader, but there's nothing on the iPad I look at and I say, oh, I wish Microsoft had done that. The great Bill Gates said that, you know, and Bill Gates is a bright man. He's a wonderful man. And he missed that. That's the nature of our world. We don't have a clue when things are moving so fast, what's going to rise and what's going to fall, what's going to connect, what's not going to. We don't know. And if this is happening so quickly, let's try to build environments that allow it to happen. You know, like I was flying over here on a really cool Virgin plane, which is a few years old, and I pulled out the telly. And it's like the Stone Age. And I went to touch the screen, and it wasn't a touch screen. How dumb is that? Because surely someone thinking correctly in the airline world would have said, look, let's not put any technology in because it travels so quickly. We'll just get tablets and stuff, and we'll give them to the people as they come in. But because of their default setting, they spent all this money to wire in technology, and for a cool company like Virgin, they now look stupid. Let's deal with it. You know, I'm a sad person, you know. I'm a sad man. And I've watched Blade Runner, one of the best movies ever, huh? And I'm sad because I've seen it about 20 times. And it was recent that the last time that I saw it, you know, you get this amazing view coming up, and then Vangelis kicks in. And then this sad man's got a glass of red wine ready to go again. And it wasn't until the last time that I noticed this little sign comes up and it says, Los Angeles 2019. What? Ridley Scott made this in 1983, 1984. He's one of the best directors of our time. So he was surmising, we haven't a clue how our future is going to shape up. Let's deal with it. Thank you.
Great, Gerry. Do we have time for one question, probably?
Oh, no, please.
No? One. We want one question. I'm sure we want one question. Does anybody have?
No, because every time I talk, I beat the audience into silence. Perfectly understandable.
I want you to say person again.
Person.
There you go. Or learn.
That's the answer to a non-existent question.
All right. Well, I think it was very provocative. I'm interested in, you know, you and I are probably similar generations, but I think I work more like a 20-something. What about people like us? I bet you do.
Age is nothing. Age is what's in your head.
Right.
Age is what's in what you allow yourself to do, you know.
So designing.
You just remember, we're all as good as our default settings, huh? You're only as good as your default settings, and our job is to continually reprogram our default settings. That's it. And then you can deal with it all. But just be aware that they're there and they have to be changed continuously.
So figure out your default settings and then get on with it. Thank you, Gerry.